Good, good, good. All set, right? Very nice. So I am on a different machine today. I'm not on the same machine which I was using last week. I am on a different machine, and what we will do is that I will have to pull the project that we have already written. I will have to pull that project. Let me share my screen. Okay. So I hope you all can all see my screen. Yes. Okay. So good. Okay. Fine, this is good. So I'll come back to this later, but then let's get started with draw.io. Yeah, so this is week two. I hope you all have access to and you'll have received the draw.io file that I had sent on Friday to RPS. I'm sure you might have received that file, and you've not received the file, you can connect with RPS. You can connect with RPS. Okay, let me send them a message. Let me tell them. My screen is not visible. It is visible, 101%. It is visible.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi Nagaraj. They have not received the files that I shared with you. One file, draw.io file, which I had given to you last week. The training material, I mean to say, which has all the diagrams while we discuss. See, I had sent you an email in the evening. So please, if you want, I can send it again to you.
Please find today's attendance and study material attached.
Yes, correct, exactly.
So this
18
I
June.
have
It is called 18 June. 18 June. The name of the file is
18
18.
June, correct, sir.
Correct.
This has been uploaded on the this thing, but since this was sent on Friday,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it is
No
really
problem. So
uploaded.
somehow just pass over the message to the participants how they can get access to it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nagaraj. Thank
Sure.
you. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, let's continue. So I'm sure you can all see my screen because today I have kept another screen which keeps on showing me whether the video quality is good, the audio quality is good, and the screen is shared or not. So I can very well see that. Right. So I'm sure. Okay, come on. So yeah. Okay. Acha, in the meanwhile, can you please check whether you have MySQL installed on your machine, and do you have access to MySQL Workbench, which you can use in order to access the database? Or else, if you do not have MySQL Workbench, that is also absolutely fine. But I hope you have the username and the password of the database. Usually, root is the username and the password is nothing. Or else maybe they might have given you the password. I'm sure they might have given you the password. Or else we can connect with the RPS support professional who is there on this call. You can take from him. So please check, and then you go to IntelliJ, the ultimate edition that we have already downloaded. You can open that up. So please confirm to me, friends. I am waiting for you to confirm to me that you have access to the database. Yes, MySQL Workbench is also there. Very good. So your screen is not visible. It is visible. Yeah, I do not have the password, so we will have to get in touch with RPS. He just shared his username. He just shared his credentials, his coordinates, right? And then, so you all have username and the password, right? Okay. So now, see, friends, give me a moment. All of y'all, friends, please give me a moment. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. See this. So what you can do is you can say file. Sorry, you can say view, tools, windows, and you don't need MySQL Workbench if you have got this Ultimate Edition. This is super, right? So you can just say tool, windows, and then you will find one option called database out here. Can you see this? All of y'all, please. You have an option called database. Just simply click on that database option. Click on that database option, and the moment you click on that database option, you will have this option there, database. Okay, you will have this option there called database. All of you got that option, database? Yes, very good, cool, good, very nice. Nice, very good, very good. Right, and then you need to click on plus out here and say data source, and then you need to select MySQL. See the option there. You need to select MySQL. So you do have the option MySQL there, right? Are you getting that option there, MySQL? Okay. So you've got to click on MySQL database. You see, you'll find an option there. Let this be at the rate localhost because your database is there on the local machine, and then keep everything as it is. Just give the username and the password. That's it. Simply give the username and the password. Okay. What I'm going to do is that I am going to go to so all are there with me, friends? All are there with me? See what I'm doing? I am not installing the database on my own machine. Abhijit, you are unable to see my machine. What about others? You can see, you all can all see my machine, right? Of course, yes, I can see that you can see my machine. Sir, I didn't find the database in tools, sir. You all have the database installed on your machine or not? Can you all confirm, please? Do you have access to the database? Please go on mute mode, friends. Please go on mute mode. right? I'm going to explain loads of things now. Don't do anything else on your machine. So your database is connected. You have MySQL installed on your machine, and you have successfully configured MySQL database with this IDE. There are several different ways to connect to the database. The user interface is provided, and if no user interface is available, if you do not have this IDE, if you do not have for that matter, even MySQL Workbench, right? Even if you do not have MySQL Workbench, that's also absolutely fine, right? So that is also okay if you do not have that. And if you can just simply go to the CLI, command line interface of MySQL, or if you are working with any other database, each and every database will provide the command line interface, and you can just simply go to command line interface and start typing commands. You can connect to the database, you can log into the database, you can type in commands, insert, update, delete, and so on. You can very well do that. So what I am trying to tell you is that it's not necessary that you must have this kind of an IDE. It's not necessary that you have MySQL Workbench. Though if you have one in real life, yes, it helps a lot. It saves your work. It's easier for you to go to the database. Going through these tools and creating tables and and adding rows and viewing the data instead of going through the command line. But again, it's the personal choice. Okay, so I have everything out here now. Everything is all cool. So I hope you can all see my screen. So all set. Come on. All set. All set. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Right, beautiful. Now see this. So what happens is that in any application, the kind of business applications that we develop, these business applications cannot be imagined without the database. Like for example, something like this. This is also a software, right? This draw.io is also a software. This IDE is also a software. But these are the softwares which are tools. These are tools. Right, these are not business applications. But when it comes to developing business applications, you will certainly have some or the other database to work with, and you will be storing all that data into the database. Now there are various different types of databases. You already know about it. There is MySQL, and there is Oracle, and there is Informix, and there is Ingress, and then there is Sybase, and so on. And then from the NoSQL family, you have got right from Cassandra to MongoDB to so many other databases. NoSQL databases are available out there in the market. So what you do is that you write your application. Now these applications again can be in any programming language. It does not really matter that you are writing in Java or TypeScript, Node.js based application, or a Java application or a PHP application. It doesn't really matter, or maybe for that matter .NET application. All of these applications that you have got, all of these programming platforms that you have got, they provide you with the features to connect to the database. But this connection is important, right? Otherwise, if you do not establish connection to the database, how will you actually talk to the database, and how will you have any access to the database, isn't it? How will you fire queries to the database? So it's very important, it's extremely important that you know how to connect to the database. And these databases are, as I said, various different types of databases out there in the market. We are working with MySQL. This is what we are working with. Correct? Database. So MySQL is the database that we are working with. MySQL. Got that? And this program is a Java program. Correct? Now, there are quite a few things that you must understand about the Java program that you write. That accesses the database. I hope you are all there with me, friends. All there? You are not helping each other. You can do that later. No problem. You can do that later, or else you will miss on this explanation. What is better? You attend this and you pay attention here, because I'm not going to repeat it. Right, so if you don't pay attention here, you are going to miss this, and this is more important than setting that up. I will help you to set that up. If it is not set, eventually you will end up setting it up. We will help you out. But then if you are spending your time there setting it up, you will miss on this explanation, friends. So please pay attention here. Okay. So you see this, we have got a Java program here. Now, how do we write in Java especially, how do you get connected to the database? So they have provided right from through right through the inception of Java. Like for example, take a look at this. There is something called connection. You can see this connection, java.sql.connection, and you can see this is from 1.1 onwards. Okay, not from its inception, fine. It was not there in JDK 1.0, but then you see from 1.1 onwards, JDK 1.1 onwards, we are on 16 today. This connection is there. Not only connection, quite a few other interfaces, but then what is important is this package java.sql. So what is the API? What is the name of the API that helps us to connect to the database? I repeat, what is the name of the API that helps us to connect to the database? It's java.sql. The name of the API is JDBC as well. Yeah, correct. You can call it an API, but java.sql is the name of the package. Otherwise, the API is JDBC, Java Database Connectivity API. So you see, I have JDBC. That's very important for me. I need JDBC API. And when I say JDBC API, that JDBC API is implemented in a package called java.sql. All of those interfaces are here. So JDBC API. Now there's something very beautiful to learn about it. When we say JDBC API, see this. Right, so understand this, friends. Try and understand this point. Okay, fine. So let me use this, and I'll say this as JDBC, and I will say java.sql.start. All right, so this is the API that you have. Okay, this is the API. So if this is your Java program, so this is your JDBC API. You must have your JDBC API, and it's out there in your it's very much there in your Java itself. You don't need to install anything. You don't need anything extra at all. It is just that you need to use this java.sql package. Now, what is important here is this, very interesting. I'm saying this is an API. Okay, please do not miss this. I want undivided attention, friends. Undivided attention. Please listen to this very carefully. See, this term API is very, very extensively used. I repeat, this term API is very, very extensively used across different contexts in software world. In different context. I am saying JDBC is an API. Now, this API that I am talking about is not as same as the RESTful API that we build for people to access our application, for people to get and send and post and get and delete and put data in our application. The API that we will be learning with respect to RESTful API, the web service API, there the context is different. Here I am saying this is a programming API. That is also a programming API, but the context is different. There the context is web. Here the context is not web. And API stands for Application Programming Interface. I'm sure every one of you all know that API stands for Application Programming Interface. Now, what does that mean? Your application is being programmed to interfaces, not to the implementation. Don't forget don't miss this point, friends. Your application, API stands for application, A for application, that is your application that you are writing. P stands for programming. Your application is being programmed to. That's how you will transliterate an API. I repeat, that's how you will transliterate an API. You will say your application, or rather you will say my application is being programmed to, I for interfaces. In other words, you have got to keep this at the back of your mind, not to the implementation. You are programming to interfaces and not to the implementation. I repeat, what does API stand for over here? Your application is being programmed to interfaces, not to implementation. What does this mean? What am I trying to tell you? See this. When I start writing my code and I say, package here, sorry. I'll create a new package and I'll give the name of the package as Java training, and I'll say JDBC. and here I'll say class, and I'll say JDBC getting started. Okay, this is the name of my class. Okay, this is the name of my class. I say main. Here you go. Okay, now please understand this. Don't worry about the syntax and don't worry about what each one of these things really mean. But if I want to talk to the database, first and foremost, I will have to create a new connection object. I'll say connection. Can you see this java.sql.connection? Don't start writing. Don't start writing. What I'm writing will not work. What I am writing is not going to work. So please don't start writing. I will give you sufficient time to write things on your own machine, sufficient time. So please pay attention. My objective is not to show you how fast I can type. My objective is to explain things to you. So please, undivided attention, friends. Connection con is equal to, I will say driver manager. Again, as I said, do not worry about what I'm typing, you know, do not worry about implementing the same thing on your own machine, but see, understand what I'm trying to say. I've got a URL to be executed, you know, I use some of the other URL, jdbc.mysql colon and blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about that, you know. So I'll just simply say throws exception here. Okay, and then once I have the connection object, I say statement stmt is equal to, I will say con.create statement. I'm going to explain to you. See, friends, I'm going to give you $1 million point here, friends. Making using this JDBC as a topic to discuss, I am taking an opportunity to explain something to you which will help you in your career throughout. You will understand what it really means by the clients are programmed to abstraction and not to implementation. This is extremely interesting. So please do not worry about writing the code on your machine. Pay very careful attention. I am writing statement stmt. Right, I'm writing statement stmt is equal to con.create statement. This will help me to create a statement object. Just for now, take it. It will help me to create a statement object. Next, I will say result set rs is equal to, I'll say stmt dot, I'll say execute query, I'll say select star from maybe customer, right? Maybe customer. Got that? So I've got result set rs stmt dot execute query. I say select star from customer. It gives me, it fires a select statement to the database, and what I get on the left hand side is a result set. Now, how do I get the data? I'll say while rs dot has next. Not has next while rs dot next, I will just keep on taking the value. I'll say rs dot get int, and I'll say the column index, or maybe the name of the label of the column, I'll say id. So give me the, maybe there is an id in the table in the database, so I'll say int id is equal to, and then I say string title is equal to, or maybe the name of the customer. So I'll say name is equal to rs dot. Don't worry, I'm going to explain everything. I'll say get string and brackets name out here, or whatever the name of the fields are, and I get the data. Hardly few lines of code. Now my point is this, the $1 million point is this. I have a question to you all, and I'm sure many of you all have actually tried your hands on JDBC earlier. So my question to you all is, connection is a class or an interface? Connection is a class or an interface? What do you think? I said my application. This is my application. Whatever I have highlighted as my application is being programmed to interfaces, not to implementation. Tell me, connection is a class or an interface? Super. Statement is a class or an interface? Statement is a class or an interface? Statement is a class or an interface? Very. Result set is a class or an interface? Is a class or an interface? It's all interfaces. Correct. So connection is an interface, statement is an interface, result set is an interface. Does interface provide the execution of logic? What does interface provide? It provides the declaration of the services. For example, if I go to connection interface, and you see all of these are the declaration of the services. These are the declaration of the services. None of these services, for example, commit, you will not find any implementation here, friends. You see this, for example, if I say say create statement, for example. See this create statement. Is there a body of this function over here? This is an interface. Come on. Yes, you can have default implementation. That's besides the point at this stage. Forget about that. But then you see, you do not have, this is an interface. This is not a functional interface or anything. This does not have any default implementation. There is no implementation here at all. Similarly, let me go to statement interface. Do you think there is any, say for example, if I say execute query as one of the, or execute, or for that matter execute, where is my execute? Here it is there an implementation here? This is just the declaration of the service. I go back to my result set. Come on friends, these are all interfaces. Anything like for example, next is the function that we have used. Is there an implementation of next here? This is an interface, just the declaration of services. It is just the declaration of services. Where is the implementation? Did I write a new on the right hand side? Did I write a new on the right hand side? Yes or no? I did not write a new class. Otherwise, usually you write the name of the interface, the reference variable is equal to new something. Come on, new some class. And it is that class that provides the implementation of the interface that you have written on the left hand side. I hope I'm crystal clear to you all. You miss this and it's a big loss for you. When you understand this, you will do wonders. These are fundamental things. I will repeat once again. On the left hand side, I create a reference variable of an interface, and usually I have to write, see for example, if I say list of integer and I say values is equal to, I'll say new what? Come on, I'll say new array list, isn't it? I have to write new here, isn't it? I have to write new here, which is not wrong. If I say integer, list of integer values is equal to new array list, it's okay, good, cool, okay. I may change this from array list to what? I may change this from array list to what? Come on, give me an example. I may change this array list to no. Linked list. I could have changed this to linked list. So my reference variable still remains the same. It is of list. Why? Because linked list and array list, they both implement list. Make sense? I hope, this is just the recap of what we have learned last week, the concept of interfaces and the implementation classes. Are we good so far? Are we good so far? Okay. Now see the $1 million point that I am putting across. 1000 crore की बात. कितने करोड़ की? Kaushal is going to give me 10,000. Right? 1000 crore की बात. Yes. Deep also will become a manager. He will become a businessman. So see, $1 million point here is this. Can I make a statement? That driver manager dot get connection returns to me an object of some class that implements connection. Can I make a statement that con dot create statement returns to me an object of some class that implements statement interface? Can I make a statement that stmt.execute query returns to me an object of some class that implements result set? Make sense or not? Yes. Correct. Can I make a statement after that e-learning video that you have gone through? Can I make a statement that these are the factory methods? This create statement specially. This does not really look like a factory method, though it creates an object of some class and returns back. But this create statement is a full-fledged, it's a factory method. It returns to me an object. It dynamically runtime creates an object of some class and returns to me an object of that class on the left hand side. And needless to say that the object that it creates is an object of some class that implements statement. Otherwise this line would have given a compilation error. It would have given me a compilation error. For example, if I do something like this, if I say hash set Okay, this is going to give me a compilation error. See this is giving me a compilation error. See this, it says on the left hand side you're giving list, but on the right hand side you're giving a hash set. Hash set does not implement list. Hash set does not implement list, so it doesn't work that way, right? So I have to give the name of some or the other class that implements list. See how much emphasis I'm putting on this. I'm saying these statements, right? These are all the statements, right? Driver manager dot get connection, com dot create statement, stmt dot execute query. All of these returns to me an object of some class that implements the respective interfaces. This returns to me an object of some class that implements connection. This returns to me an object of some class that implements statement. This returns to me an object of some class that implements result set. Now final point, the final point here. Give me the name of those classes that implements these interfaces. Come on. Give me the name of those classes, those respective classes. Give me the name of the class that implements connection. Give me the name of the class that implements statement interface. Give me the name of the class here that is returned, the object of which is returned by execute query that implements result set. Give me the name of the class. Do you all know the name of the class? Do you all know the name of the class? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. Now at least one of you will ask me, Shakir, do you know the name of the class? Type that statement, any one of you all at least. Shakir, do you know the name of the class? Come on then Shakir, you give me the name of the class. At least एक तो कोई बोले. Come on Shakir, you give me the name of the class. No, I don't know Rakesh. Even I cannot give you the name of the class. No, I don't know Udat. Good question. No, I do not know Devdeep. Very good. Navya, I do not know the name of the class. Super. It's fun. It's all the more fun on online instructor-led training more than classroom. It's all the more fun. No, my dear friends, I do not know the name of the class. Now see the next statement that I'm making. I don't need to know. And that's what the benefit here is. That's what the $1 million point here is. I don't know. I don't need to know. How come? So how will my Java program know when I do not know? It will know based on the driver that I will set in the class path. If I put the driver of MySQL, the database driver of MySQL in the class path, automatically it will pick up the class from that driver, from that MySQL driver that implements connection. Then you're taking the same connection, see con.create statement, it then will automatically and dynamically pick up the class from MySQL driver that implements statement. And then it is the same statement object. See, that is an entry point. This is an entry point. Because with the connection object, I take the statement. With the statement object, I execute query. And once I say execute query, it will pick up the appropriate class from the MySQL driver that implements the result set. Which class is that? I don't know. I don't need to know. And that's what the benefit is. The client, my application, see this, my dear friends. My application is being programmed to interfaces. See the highlight. My application is being programmed to interfaces, not to the implementation. On the right hand side, I don't know the name of the class. I use factory methods. I cannot anticipate at the time of writing my code. I don't need to anticipate which class is going to be instantiated runtime. Note my words. Which class is going to be instantiated? Object of which class will be created runtime? I don't need to know. What's the benefit? What's the benefit? No, I don't need to use for name also, because if I use for name, somehow or the other I will have to name the class. I will have to put the name of the class in string, right? The fully qualified name. I don't need to do that as well. But yes, there is something that I need to do, so that my Java understands which set of classes is supposed to be used. There must be some entry point. So what is the benefit? No, what is the benefit? I don't need to know the name of the class, and I did give you the hint. I said if I plug in my SQL driver, it will pick up the appropriate classes for these respective interfaces from my SQL driver. So what is the benefit? What is the benefit of writing my application such that it is being programmed to interfaces and not to the implementation? What is the benefit? Come on, I will be very happy. Yes, Rakesh, you are right. So my program, my application is being programmed to abstractions. Connection statement, it results that they are all interfaces. Yes, so they are abstractions. What is the benefit? जो मुझे बताएगा benefit, he will get or she will get शाबाशी. No. No. Yes. Yes, Anindya. Super. See what Anindya. See the message from Anindya. See the message from Anindya. We can connect to any database without three words. We can connect to any database without changing my code. Do you think I will have to make any changes except for one change over here? Yes, which again can be parameterized, and you will see for yourself in the same trading program. We are going to parameterize this. We are going to configure this in the properties file. This will be picked up from the properties file so that we don't need to worry at all. You know, if tomorrow I have to make changes, if I need to shift from MySQL to Oracle, my application, since my application was programmed to interfaces, not to the implementation, I don't need to rewrite my application. I don't need to make any changes to my application. And of course, this is dependent. JDBC MySQL, it will be instead of that JDBC Oracle or whatever. But then this also can be configured in the properties file. So the only change that I need to do is that I need to bring an Oracle Oracle database driver in the class path and change my properties file. I don't have to touch my Java code. It will still work as fantastic as it was working for MySQL, because both are JDBC compliant databases. Note my words, both are JDBC. So if it is Oracle, or if it is MySQL, or it is MariaDB, or it is ClearDB, or it is Cassandra, or it is MongoDB, I don't need to worry. Because if they provide JDBC drivers, I will be able to connect, because all of these databases, they do provide JDBC drivers. I just need to put the driver in the class path, and in the properties file I will make changes. So instead of hard coding here, ideally in real life project, I will not hard code this. I will pick this up from the properties file. So my application, yes, without changing the code right and in there. Super. I hope you are all there with me, friends. I hope you are getting the point. This is what an API is. My application. See what I'm highlighting? This is my application is being programmed to. Come on, is being programmed to interfaces, not to the implementation. I don't know which implementation will be used runtime. It will be dynamically picked up based on the driver that is installed. This is the crux of these thousands of Java APIs. It is the crux of these thousands, not even hundreds, thousands of APIs that are here, that are documented here. You will find, JDBC by JCL, by platform, by technology. Okay. Or else I'll just say JDBC. You see this JDBC 2.1 error 910. These are the JSRs 114 and so on. JDBC row set implementation. JDBC 3.0 specification was 54. Can you see this? 54. That was 54. 2002-0509. Can you see this? JDBC 4.0 specification. JDBC 4.0 specification. What was the JSR? JSR is what? Java Service Request. Repeat. What does JSR stand for? Java Service Request. The start was 2017-09-21. Please see, this is JDBC 4.0. And then what is this in this implementation? This is not the implementation. These are interfaces. When you click over here, and if you download, you're going to get that API. You're going to get that API which has got all interfaces. If now the database comes up in the market, new database, you may call that new database as PWC database, maybe. Maybe PwC comes up with its own database, and if that PW database is compliant with the JDBC 4.0 specification, they will provide all the necessary classes that are needed in order to provide the implementation of all the interfaces that are listed here on JDBC 4.0. Hope you are getting the point, friends. You're getting the point. So that the applications can be written, which is dependent on the specification, which is dependent on the interfaces in the specification, and not on the implementation. So tomorrow, if I decide to switch over from PwC database to Oracle database, fine, no problem. My application doesn't undergo a change. You got that, friends? So I talked about JDBC API. There are several APIs, right? I'll just simply name this as JDBC. There are several APIs. I'm going to write it over here. There is an API for JAAS, Java Authentication and Authorization Service. There is an API, there is hundreds of them, There is something called GMS, Java Messaging Service API. All of these are the APIs. Then there is something called, JPA, Java Persistence API, which we are going to learn certainly in this week. And then you have so many other, I'm so sorry. I keep on using those hundreds of them, but not, of course, on a daily basis, hundreds of them. But then, if I can think of, JAX, right? JAX API, the Java API for XML processing. Java API for XML processing, and there are so many other things, my dear friends. There are so many other things. These are the APIs. There are hundreds and thousands of them. Please see this. There are hundreds and thousands of them. Correct. And this is milestone 1, and then these are the different releases that they have. And then finally, so if you download that JSR from here, see, this is the download page, then in that case you will be able to get, you see, there is an option of download here. And what you're going to get, there will be hardly some classes here, like for example, driver manager class is a class, no doubt about it. But then otherwise you will find all interfaces. We have used some of the interfaces like, statement. There is something called prepared statement. There is something called callable statement. There is something called, there are so many things. There are so many things for executing the stored procedures, for executing, for compiling the SQL and then sending it to the database. There are so many things, my dear friends. You're getting the concept of an API. I took an opportunity here with the help of this JDBC. Now you know what an API actually means from this context. What API means from web perspective: RESTful API, JSON-based RESTful API that can be invoked over HTTP. That's there. The context is different. Still, the concept remains the same of API. I repeat, the concept remains the same, but the context changes. There, the context is web. Am I firing any web-related thing here? Am I doing any web-related thing here? No, I'm talking to the database and I want to access the database. I want to perhaps insert, update, delete and stuff. So this is not the context of web. We will talk about API in web context later. But as I said, API is a very commonly used term across many different contexts. What we are talking about is Java library. In the context of Java libraries, this is a Java library that we are using here, my dear friends, and that library is java.sql. The API that this library implements is, not implements, declares, right? This is the JDBC API. I hope, any doubts, any questions? I will take a pause here. Tell me if you have any doubts, any questions. Right, friends, come on, let's continue. So let's continue. Come on. So you see this, I'm going to go back to my IDE, right? I'm going to go back to my IDE. Please check this. So I have now the database out here. Okay, so in my case, the default database is Trainer. Okay, it's Trainer. This is the database that I have. As you can see, this is the name of the database. Whereas in your case, the name of the database is Training, isn't it? Oh yes, I changed the project, so that is the reason I have to once again set it up. So I'll say MySQL, very simple stuff. Everything remains the same, root, and then I say RPS @1234, and I'll just test the connection. Yes, password is right or wrong. Oh no. What it is? Root, no, RPS @123455. It seems. Yes, it succeeded. Right now apply, and I'll say okay. So you see this here, I can always click here in order to select the database. You see training is the database here, okay, and then you see training is the database. You can see this ID, name and address, right? So I have that database here, and this is the project that I have, PwC project database, right? I mean, sorry, the project, correct? Here you go. And I did not take the pull, so because this is, I must take the pull, right? So I get all the latest stuff here. And you see I have my JDBC code also over here. JDBC code also, no, did I commit? I think I have not yet committed. Right, I have not yet committed. Well, I'll commit this later on, no problem about that, no problem about that. Or let me commit this, or else no, why now? Okay, so let me you know, in fact I would want you all to write this code all on your own, because I don't want everything to you know, I mean, you don't write any code and then you just copy paste it. So it's better that you write code. Okay, so you see this is what you will be doing, and then slash you're going to give training. This is what you're going to give. Just make sure that the spelling is correct. Training must be the name of your database. In my case, trainer is the name of the database, and I do not have a table called customer, I believe. So let me check whether I have any. I do not have customer. Okay, I have a table called profile, which is absolutely fine. So I'm going to say select star from profile. Right, and in my profile table you see profile ID and then first name and the last name. So I have profile ID, I have first name, and then I also have last name. You see this last name here. So let's see whether this works or not, and I'll say last name, and here I'll say this is my first name, and then here I'll just simply give, spelling is wrong, and then this is okay. I'll say S out, and I'll say ID plus, I'll say first name plus, and I'll say last name. Correct? That's how it is. Now let me run this and see the results. First, let me run this on my own machine, and then you can try on your own. Okay? You can also take a look at the code. I mean, you can take a look at this code and you can write the same thing on your own machine, but then for your database. So let me run this and let's see. Again, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. Take a look. It's always, you know, while learning, at least you can very well run the code and see, and if there are errors, good, you're going to get a lot to learn. So you see no suitable driver found. So I do not have any database driver in the class path. You remember I did mention this, you know. So coming back over here, I am using JDBC SQL. I am using a specific JDBC URL here. I repeat, I am using specific JDBC URL out here. So it will look for the driver which contains this particular entry. Okay, so the driver is not there. I have not installed any driver. So what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to install the driver. What do you mean by installing the driver? Now all hands off from the keyboard. All hands off from the keyboard. All with me? All with me, friends? How do you get the driver? You're all there with me? Cool, good, perfect, very nice. So please see this. I need a driver out here in my application. I need a driver. If it was not a Mavenized project, Maven is something that we are going to cover in detail this week. But you know, there are certain things that are better explained in the flow, right, rather than taking it up as a separate topic and starting all over there, you know, from the scratch. So I will start kind of Maven over here. I will give you an overview of Maven here. We are going to anyhow learn more about Maven in this week, maybe the third or the fourth day, right? Maybe the fourth day, right? But then here, understand this. If this was a plain Java project and not a Mavenized project, then I would have just made sure that I download the driver. I repeat, I download the driver, the JDBC driver for MySQL and keep it in the path while running this application. How do I keep it in the path at any given point of time? If you want to run Java application, putting something in the path, I say -cp. And then I will specify the jar files that are there in the path, separated by semicolon. I can very well do that. And I would have done that. But then that's old school. No one does that. No one does that these days. Either you will use Maven or you will use Gradle. We will come to Gradle later. This is a Mavenized project. And you remember how did we create this project? File, new project, and then we did select Maven here. Right? We select Maven here. So with Maven as a project, we then went ahead and then we said next and stuff and all. And that's how we created the project. But then when we created the project as a Maven project, as a Java, but a Maven, Maven project, Maven Java project, it automatically creates a POM file. This is called project object model, a POM file. You can see this here, a POM file, project object model. Now what this does is that, what is this file? This file helps Maven as a tool to manage the dependencies of your application on the external jar files. Getting it? Manage the dependencies of your application on the external jar files. There are some jar files that your application may dependent on, and that jar file has got some library which in turn is dependent on some other jar file, and then some other jar file. It's a complete nexus. Correct, of jar files. I am using your JDBC, so I need the MySQL driver. I need a MySQL driver so my application is dependent on MySQL driver, and I need that here. So what am I going to do? I'll say dependencies. You can see this here, dependencies, and within the dependencies tag in this pom.xml file, I will define the dependency. I will define that my application is dependent on MySQL jar file. But then whenever you build a jar file, if you have your own library, so MySQL is a group in Oracle people, MySQL belongs to Oracle. If you want to download MySQL, you have to go to Oracle website and you have to download. As in case of Java, you need to go to, as in case of Java, if you want to download MySQL, again you got to go to Oracle. So there are various different organizations on this earth, thousands and thousands of organizations who build their own frameworks, who build their own libraries, who build their own software solutions. And maybe they build a library which is used by millions of other in the community, millions of other in the world. So they need to name their libraries in such a way that it does not conflict with the name of the library of someone else. I hope you're getting the point. You must name your library accordingly. Even if you do not want to, suppose PwC is developing a software solution, and if they do not want to share it with the world, still within the organization at least you will have to share it across. Even if you do not share, each and every library must have a unique identification. And that unique identification is built, I repeat, that unique identification is built based on three things. Each and every library is uniquely identified based on three things. One is the group ID, second is the artifact ID, and the third is the version. I repeat, first is the group ID, second is the artifact ID, and third is the version. The group ID represents the organization. It represents the group. Now, if the organization is so very large, like Oracle and Google and Microsofts of the world, then in that case, within the organization, they may have several groups. So group ID, a group that is building that library, and that group may build several libraries. I repeat, that group may end up building several libraries. So what is the artifact ID that represents that library? Artifact is that artifact, that library itself. So a group ID, and that may have n number of libraries. So what is the artifact ID of that library? And third, the version, because each artifact may have several versions. We are using MySQL, but then I have MySQL version of 5.x, and we may have MySQL version of 7 and 8 and so on. So the libraries keep on evolving. You keep on adding more and more features to it. You keep on enhancing. You may have a bug fix and so on, right? So this versioning is also something that I can talk about for next 2 to 3 hours, but I don't want to go there. Versioning, there's something called semantic versioning. So when you all become architects, see, many of you all, you know what, I'll tell you what will happen. As you all grow and as you all rise up in your career, some of you all will become managers. Maybe you have flair for managing teams. You have flair for leading the projects from management perspective. Some of you all will become leaders on technology. You become an architect. So first you become so if it is management line, then you will become a team lead and then a project manager. If you are more from the technical side, and if you have got flair for doing things on your own, I mean technology, you love to write code, then in that case you become a tech lead, team lead, tech lead. Here you become a project manager, here you become an architect, right? Then you become a senior architect, and then you become and then it depends on which company you are, and then what kind of hierarchies there. So the top level is CTO. You become the CTO of the company, chief technology officer. Here in the management side, you become you become a team lead, and then you become a project manager, then you become a senior project manager, then you become a delivery head, and then the global delivery head, and maybe CEO. Next few 10-15 years, 20 years down the line, maybe even earlier, you become CEO of the company. So these are the different paths, becoming chiefs. So as you rise up the ladder and you become technology officers, you will get the hang of versioning. You will know all of these things. I mean, not only versioning is one aspect of it. There are 1,000 things that you will know, but versioning, that is something very important. The architects must know. There is a concept of semantic versioning, right? Later on, if time permits, I may spend some time on this. If not, then you can just simply go through it. Even if you understand 10% of it, it's a winning factor for you, right? Versioning. So you must know what is a major version, what is a minor version. When it's a bug fix, then it's how do you increment the version. If it's a major release, then how do you increment the version, and how do you reset the minor version, and so on. So all of this is again very, very interesting stuff. Coming back here. So what are the 3 things that identifies a library? Tell me, what are the 3 things? So I just use dependency and hit the tab key. See, this IDE is so smart, it has automatically written everything for me. But then you've got the group ID, you've got the artifact ID, and you have the version number. So far so good. Any questions? Good. You're clear on this, right? How do you identify a library? Now I want this library. So from where am I going to download this library? कहाँ से आएगा? Where do you think I'm going to get this library from? So by default, your Maven that is installed on your machine, I repeat, by default, the Maven that is installed on your machine points to Maven Central, and it will download the library from there. So you see this, I'm going to go to Chrome, and then I'll say Maven Central, any library that your application is dependent on. And if you want to get that library, you just simply need to go to Maven Central, and then here, go to mavenrepository.com. This is better, mavenrepository.com, and here you have an option of searching it. So I'll say MySQL. I just need to give the name of the library, so you see this MySQL connector. This is the actual name. When I click on this, now you will find which version you want to use. You see this? I will use 8.0.25 or 8.0 because my database is 8.0. Not much of a difference. You can pick up one of the 3. At least I don't know what is the difference between these versions. So I know one thing for sure, that there are bug fixes. There is not a major change. There is a bug with them. Which bug fixes, I don't know, but whatever. I'll pick up 8.0.23 because on Amazon my database is 8.0.23, and you see this here, group ID is MySQL, artifact ID is MySQL connector Java, and version is 8.0.23. Now what I need to do is that I just need to click over here. It automatically copies it to the clipboard. I just need to click. That's it, and it will give me for Gradle. What is the dependency for Gradle? It's just one liner. SBT, IB, all of these are different dependency management systems, right? So Maven is not just simply dependency management system, it's a build tool as well. I repeat, your Maven is a build tool as well. It builds your application, not just simply manages dependency. So now I don't need this entire thing. Why? Because I've already copied from there and I just paste it over here. You see this? This is the group ID now. Now you see this. I'm going to save this. The moment I save this and I go to Maven, you see this. It shows that my application is dependent on what? As of now, nothing. Actually, I've just put this dependency. I need to simply refresh. When I click on refresh out here, you see it will pick up the dependency. It's going to download. Can you see this download is happening? Can you see this? I clicked here, you can see, here you go, the dependency is there on MySQL connector, which in turn is dependent on some COM Google protobuf library, which I don't need to worry about, because in MySQL they have defined that dependency and it's a complete hierarchy thing. I don't need to worry. I just simply say my application is dependent on MySQL and I need that driver, I need that library. Here you go, I have it. Now I will run my application and I'll see whether I'm going to get the results or not. You see this? So, okay, now there is a problem here. Access denied for user using the password as no. Okay, cool, good. Why? Because while connecting to the database, I did not give the password. Now I will have to give the password here, but that password, if I give here, you will be able to see that password, which I don't want you, because this is actually one of my databases which I'm using in an application, so I don't want you to see that password. But in your case, this is what you will be doing. Say comma, the username will be root in your case, and the password is going to be rps @ 12345. Correct? This is what you have to do. Come on, friends. Check this out. I'll just put this on the next line so that you can see everything. I'm going to put this also on the next line, right? So you can see, come on, do this and just make sure that this is instead of this, whatever I have highlighted, it is instead of that, it is local host. Come on. In the meanwhile, I'll do one thing. I will also install the database here on my local machine. Actually, I did not want to, but no problem. I'll install my database here. Okay. So I'm just keeping this and get started. In the meanwhile, I will so I hope you know that your okay, one more important point, friends. Please don't get started. You see this? I'll go to my Safari and see this customer. This is my VDI. Click right mouse button and say edit data, and I want you to put some data here. You can see this. You have options to put the data here. You can see this. You can click right mouse button. You can say add arrow, or you can see this plus sign here. So you say ID is 101. Name of the customer is say PWC, okay, and then you see address is say Mumbai, okay, and then again plus, and then here you say 102, name is IBM, and say address is Pune, okay, and so on. And then you just need to, can you see this here? Okay, preview nahi chahiye humko, just say submit, okay, just say submit, and the database is all the changes that you have done is committed. So you again refresh and check. You must be able to get the data. Come on then, and then you start writing that code. In your case, the code is going to be what? Will you pick up profile ID, first name and last name? No, you're going to pick up what? Come on. Okay, ID, comma, name, comma, address. This is what you're going to pick up. Come on. You've got to do this. Get started. What I've done is I have configured the database here, and then I created a table. Okay, sure, I'll repeat this. So what I'm going to do is I connected to the database. That was easy, isn't it? I connected to the database. See, my database is on a different machine, and hence I am giving this there I am giving the IP address of the machine on which I have my database, or else I would have said localhost. Okay, localhost is also just fine if you have the database installed on your own machine. I do not have this database installed on my local machine, somewhere else, so I have given the IP address, and then the username is user, and then the password is whatever the password is, right? And then I clicked on test connection. The connection was successful, and then I clicked on OK. So I have the database configured here. Then I clicked right mouse button, and then I said new, and then I clicked on table. So I wanted to create a new table, and then I get a dialog box like this. I give the name of the table as customer, then I say plus, and then I give ID, and I must make sure that I give not null and primary key for the ID, for the column ID, and then I say plus, and then I put name, and then I say plus, and then I put address as well, and then I click on execute. So I get all of this. So now I can click right mouse button on the customer table itself, and I say edit data. So this is the user interface that I get plus sign here, and I say 101, and I say the name as PwC, and here the address is, I'll say Mumbai is the address. Mumbai is the address, right? And then again I say plus, and then this time I say 102, and I say IBM, and this time I say Pune, right? And then I just simply say update out here, submit, and you see the data is stored in the database. Even if I close this now, and if I click right mouse button, if I say again edit data, I will be able to get those 2 rows. So this is what you're supposed to do. And then as far as now, I'll just simply collapse that Maven and the database stuff, right? And then you see this, I will now give, instead of, so I'll say 192.168. Oh, I forgot. So what is the IP address? This is the IP address, right? So I'll just simply put that IP address where my machine is, where my database is, and then I'll give training, okay, the same database that they all have, just that the username and the password in my case is user. Okay, this is how it is. Cool, done. And then of course I won't say profile ID, I'll say ID, and then I'll say the name of the customer, and then the address of the customer, and I better change this as well. I'll say name, and then I'll say address of the customer. Isn't it? So here I'll say name, and then here I'll say address of the customer. Here you go. Right, this is how it is. See, so I'll just simply now run my application and see this JDBC getting started this class. Okay, test training dot profile does not exist. Perfect. Why? Because I said select star from profile. You see this, which is wrong. It is supposed to be select star from customer. Again I run this because customer is the name of the table. Here you go, friends. 101 PwC Mumbai. Yo, we get the value from the database. Come on, friends, all of you must confirm that you'll have finished doing this. If you need any help, just absolutely feel free to let me know. Right? Okay, cool, good. So please see now. So what we are doing next is this. We have already written code in order to select the data from the database and display that data on the console. This is something that we have already done. Now what's the next thing? The next step is to, in the same JDBC package that we have got, we will create another class which will help us to learn how to insert data. So let's complete this entire cycle. We have done select statement, then we will learn insert, update, delete, and then we will also learn, we will come back to the get state to retrieving the data using the where clause, and then the prepared statement. There are quite a few things to learn. Then we will learn about transaction management and stuff. So here you see I'm going to create a Java class. I will give the name of the class as insert demo, right, insert demo. And then again the main function. Don't start doing it along with me, friends. First let me do it, and then you can do it on your own machine. Now again the same thing. I'll say connection, right, nothing new. I'll say connection con is equal to driver manager dot get connection, and then the same JDBC URL. How do I get the JDBC URL? I'm going to just copy paste that code here, right? I can just copy paste that code here like this, get connection. But of course you need to say throws exception here, correct? Actually the kind of exception it throws is, it throws an SQL exception. I repeat, it throws an SQL exception. I'm catching the complete the super class exception, so that I don't have to catch the other exceptions as well. But in any case, let me just simply go ahead with throws exception, throws SQL exception, so that you know that it is the SQL exception that is thrown by each one of these, most of these statements here. So I'll say statement, this time I'll say statement stmt is equal to, I'll say con.create statement. As you can see, create statement here. But with this statement object, I'll say stmt.execute, and I won't say execute query, because it is not the query that I am going to create. Fire. I'm not going to fire a query. I'm going to execute an insert statement, and that insert statement will end up inserting a row in the database. So I'll say execute out here. With this execute statement, what am I going to do? I'm going to write insert into, what is the name of the table? Customer is the name of the table, and I'm sure you have all learned this in their database training. So insert into customer, and what's next? I'll say values, right? So or else I can give the name of the columns, ID, name, and address, okay? And then I'll say values, okay, whatever the values are. So 103 is not there in the database, I'll say 103, and then I'll give in by single quotes I will give the name of the customer. So for example, I'll say JPMC is the customer. Okay, and then comma, I'll say addresses again, I'll say Mumbai. So you see this is the statement that I have created. Now after creating this insert statement, I've just executed it. I've just executed, and what this returns back to me, you see, execute returns back to me a boolean. Correct. And what is the boolean? Is true if the first result is the result set, so don't worry about that. Many a times you may fire and execute for a stored procedure that may return the result set, so that's the reason they've given that boolean to find out whether there is a result set coming in or not. But here we don't need it, so just simply say execute. That's it. It's done. It's done. Right, so this will help us insert a new statement, a new row in the database. Let's see whether this works. Okay, so there was a problem here. ID, name, see I did not put a semicolon, so I'll put a semicolon here. Again, I will run this code. Okay, it's successful. So I'll just go back to my database. I will double click on this customer, and you see 103 JPMC Mumbai is there. You can see this, right? It's there. So this is how you insert just 2 lines of code, 3 lines of code, including this connection contra driver manager, and you can very well insert. Now if I run this again, it will give me an exception. See this. If I run this again, this will give me an exception. What is that exception? Duplicate entry 103. Why? Because customer is the database, and as you can see, this ID is the part of the primary key. Can you see this? It is the primary key. So you cannot duplicate the value of the primary key, and I'm sure you know about this, and that is the reason it won't take it again. So I'll say 104, and then instead of JPMC, I'll say Verizon, and then instead of this, I'll say Chennai. I save this, and then once again I run this. No errors at all because 104 does not exist. Perfect. And then double click, you see 104 Verizon. So this is how you can insert data into the database using an insert statement from Java. Hardly few lines of code and you're done. Right? Very, very simple stuff. Very, very simple stuff, isn't it? That's how it is. Now, don't you think we should be doing this through a web-based application, so that we create a form and let the user enter something, and then the user will be able to also put some values in the form, and then you click on submit and the request goes to the server, and then we create an insert. Wouldn't that be more fun? Come on, yes or no? Yes, friends. Did you all get a chance to, or was a training done for you for HTML, CSS, Bootstrap? Those trainings are done, yes or no? Good. The reason they might have not done that training for you is that it's pretty simple stuff. You will be able to pick up all in your own. So anyways, I'm going to give you some overview of it, and then we will get started. Okay, no problem. Finish this first finish this off. Right, let's go ahead with insert, update, delete, and then more of select statement and stuff, and then we will move on to a web-based thing wherein we can use, or we can combine the knowledge of servlets and the knowledge of database as well. Right, friends? Come on, complete this. Please do let me know once you have completed insert, so you can just put your statement there, insert, done. Okay. Like the way you insert data into the database, similarly you can very well update the data also from the database, right? And how do you update data to the database? Instead of a select statement, instead of the select statement, and instead of the insert statement, tell me what is the kind of statement that you will be putting in. Right, what kind of statement? Yes, update. So instead of correct, exactly. So I am now copying and pasting this code. You see, I just used right mouse button, copy, and then I can click right mouse button and I say paste. It brings up the dialog box saying what must be the name of the new class, and I say the name of the new class is supposed to be, I'll say, update demo. You can do this along with me. See, there are certain things that are so very simple. It's just that you need to do it along. There's nothing great that I'm emphasizing on. Okay, so sorry. Okay, you can see this now. You can see this. Correct. You can see. Okay, Perfect. Right. So what I did is that once again, let me remove this code. Okay. So what I'm doing is I used insert, click right mouse button, say copy, right mouse button, say paste, right? Or you can use Control C and Control V as well. And then you say update demo. All right. So in case of update demo, everything remains same. It is just that you will be using the update statement here. I say update customer, and I'll say suppose I wanted to change the name of the customer, the ID of which is say 101. So I say update customer, set address is equal to, I'll write say in single quotes, I will give the name, I will give the new address as say Hyderabad. Okay. Where I'll say ID is equal to, I'll say 101. Right, this is my statement. This is my statement, correct? Simple. Now let's see whether this works. Okay, so I'm going to just simply run this code. No, I must run this from here or else it will end up running the previous one. So I say update demo, and then when I do that update demo here, you see, okay, it executes successfully. So what I need to only do is that just go and check. See, this has become Hyderabad. Can you see this? Right, I can go back and then suppose once again I will make changes directly over here. I'll say new address, suppose, and then I update it to the database. Right, copy to the database. Oh, sorry. Right, I'll say update. As you see this now, it's new address, but then the moment I run my program, it will become Hyderabad. You see this? I say refresh and it becomes Hyderabad as a result of my update statement. Simple. And I'm sure you will be able to give me a delete as well, all on your own without me, without me explaining to you how do you get the delete work. I want you to delete 104. I want you to delete 104 or any one of these. I mean any one of these rows with the ID. The one you want to delete, just delete it, but through JDBC. Come on, friends. Complete this update as well as delete. So I can just simply, okay, I need to do exactly the same thing. I need to establish connection to the database. I'm just going to copy this code here. Okay, like this. And you see, we have been writing this code now since last 20-25 minutes, half an hour. So don't you think we can very well create a class out here like this? I'll say class and a helper class called JDBC connection helper class, and in that JDBC connection helper class I can very well create public static connection, right, connection, and I'll say get connection, right, and then right, I can do this, and then I can just simply put this code here like this, and I return a connection back. So this also would be like throws exception, and then I return the exception back. I'm sorry, the connection object back, right? This is what I return back. So every now and then I don't have to really do that. I'll just simply say connection is equal to, and I'll say what is the name of that? We have got JDBC connection helper dot get connection, right? And of course I need to define a reference variable here. Connection is equal to, correct? So see, I don't have to every now and then write the entire statement here, and so this is how it helps us, so you can always take such decisions. And now with Java 1.8, this really need not be a class. I can very well create an interface here like this, because we know that we can very well have, see, this is redundant, it says, right? See, when I move my mouse pointer over here, it says it is redundant. Even if you do not put public, it's anyways public. So I can, it is still everything remains same, you see, because this was not possible in until 1.7. You couldn't really create static methods and default default methods in interface, but now we can very well do it. So that's okay, you can very well define that as an interface. So it's done. Now what I need is that I want to retrieve only and only the record or the row from the table which is of a particular ID. So I'll say int ID is equal to, I'll say 101. I will write statement stmt is equal to, I'll say con dot create statement, right? and of course I need to import this. And then next is I'll write stmt dot execute query. See this, execute query, and I'll say select star from customer, where I'll say ID is equal to whatever is the ID, the value of the ID is, that's how. See this, isn't it? Now when I do this same stuff, I'll say result set rs is equal to, I'll write stmt, oh sorry, I already have the result set, execute query, I'll say result set rs is equal to, right, I get the result set, and then rs dot, now one thing is important, I say rs dot next. Now when I say rs dot next, it returns to me a boolean value. You can see this, it returns to me a boolean value, returns true if the new current row is valid, false if there is no more rows. So I'll say boolean, see the way I'm writing the code, boolean row found, right? So if the row is not found, this rs.next will not have the next value, it will not have a valid row at all, and in that case it will return a false. Otherwise the value of row found will be equal to true. Correct? Now I'm going to write if row found, this is as good as writing equal to true, friends. It is as good as writing equal to true. The sweeter code is this, syntactic sugar, you remember? So row found, if row found, I say, well, the value is, I'll say string, name is equal to, I'll say rs.get string, okay, and I'll say name, correct, name, and then if I want address, I'll say string, address is equal to rs.get string again, and I say address, correct, that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll say s out, I'll write name plus address, correct, so far so good, see, right, else I'll say s out the row with ID, I'll say ID, alright, not found. Tell me if you have any questions in this simple logic, any doubts, any questions on this. So very simple. See, PwC Hyderabad, if I say instead of 101, if I say 104, which I still have it in my database, I did not delete it, I get Verizon Chennai. But if I say 105, and if I run this, it will tell me that the row with ID 105 not found. As simple as this, isn't it, friends? Come on, please write this code, and we are heading towards developing an application of our own, which will be simple but fantastic application. Come on, let's do this on your machines. Get started, and please do tell me once you have completed this. Do create this JDBC connection helper class, create that as an interface, very simple, just move your code there, connection code there, so that you don't have to write that entire thing again and again. So I can just simply, okay, I need to do exactly the same thing. I need to establish connection to the database. I'm just going to copy this code here, okay, like this. And you see, we have been writing this code now since last 20-25 minutes, half an hour. So don't you think we can very well create a class out here like this? I'll say class and a helper class called JDBC connection helper class, and in that JDBC connection helper class I can very well create public static connection, right, connection, and I'll say get connection, right, and then right, I can do this, and then I can just simply put this code here like this, and I return a connection back. So this also would be like throws exception, and then I return the exception back, I'm sorry, the connection object back, right? This is what I return back. So every now and then I don't have to really do that. I'll just simply say connection is equal to, and I'll say, what is the name of that? We have got JDBC connection helper dot get connection, right? And of course, I need to define a reference variable here. Connection is equal to, correct? So see, I don't have to every now and then write the entire statement here, and so this is how it helps us, so you can always take such decisions. And now with Java 1.8, this really need not be a class. I can very well create an interface here like this, because we know that we can very well have, see, this is redundant, it says, right? See, when I move my mouse pointer over here, it says it is redundant. Even if you do not put public, it's anyways public. So it is still, everything remains same, you see, because this was not possible until 1.7. You couldn't really create static methods and default methods in interface, but now we can very well do it. So that's okay, you can very well define that as an interface, so it's done. Now what I need is that I want to retrieve only and only the record or the row from the table which is of a particular ID. So I'll say int ID is equal to, I'll say 101. I will write statement stmt is equal to, I'll say con dot create statement, right? And of course I need to import this, and then next is I'll write stmt dot execute query. See this, execute query, and I'll say select star from customer, where I'll say ID is equal to whatever is the ID, the value of the ID is, that's how, see this, isn't it? Now when I do this same stuff, I'll say result set rs is equal to, I'll write stmt, oh sorry, I already have the result set, execute query, I'll say result set rs is equal to, right? I get the result set, and then rs dot, now one thing is important, I say rs dot next. Now when I say rs dot next, it returns to me a boolean value. You can see this, it returns to me a boolean value, returns true if the new current row is valid, false if there is no more rows. So I'll say boolean, see the way I'm writing the code, boolean row found, right? So if the row is not found, this rs.next will not have the next value, it will not have a valid row at all, and in that case it will return a false. Otherwise the value of row found will be equal to true, correct? Now I'm going to write if row found, this is as good as writing equal to true, friends. It is as good as writing equal to true. The sweeter code is this, syntactic sugar, you remember? So row found, if row found, I say, well, the value is, I'll say string name is equal to, I'll say rs.get string, okay, and I'll say name, correct, name, and then if I want address, I'll say string address is equal to rs.get string again, and I say address, correct? That's what I'm going to do, and then I'll say s out, I'll write name plus address, correct? So far so good, see, right? Else I'll say s out the row with ID, I'll say ID, alright, not found. Tell me if you have any questions in this simple logic, any doubts, any questions on this. So very simple. See, PwC Hyderabad. If I say instead of 101, if I say 104, which I still have it in my database, I did not delete it, I get Verizon Chennai. But if I say 105, and if I run this, it will tell me that the row with ID 105 not found. As simple as this, isn't it, friends? Come on, please write this code, and we are heading towards developing an application of our own, which will be simple but fantastic application. Come on, let's do this on your machines. Get started, and please do tell me once you have completed this. do create this JDBC connection helper class. Create that as an interface. Very simple. Just move your code there, connection code there, so that you don't have to write that entire thing again and again. Right. So now the next important thing is this. See, we have been taking the values in some variables like this, and then we are just simply showing it on the screen. Do you think in real life this is what we will be doing? No, we will be doing a lot of processing on the data that we are retrieving from the database. And do you think this is the way to handle the data that is retrieved from the database into some variables like these? Or we better put the data into objects of some classes? What do you think? What do you think would be the right way of doing it? Just simply loosely, getting the data objects, right? Objects, exactly, Manisha. So you're right. So I hope every one of you all understand the fact that this is not the real way, but the data that we have taken from the database, we must put it into objects of some classes. And if at all we know that the data we are retrieving would be more than one row, then in that case we must put it into an array list, and that array list will be an array list of some objects of some class. Correct? That's how it is. So what are the things that we have already learned, my dear friends? See, now I'll go back to my draw.io. As far as Java program is concerned, so what are the things that we have learned? We have learned about the Java program in which you have your API, isn't it? This is the API that you've got, the one that you use. And this API, in turn, not only that you use this API, there are quite a few other things also that you do. And there are some important objects that you must be aware of. What are those objects? What is it that you use? So first and foremost, you need a connection object, right? That's very important. You have a connection object so that you establish connection to the database. Then what are the other objects? Then you use statement object, isn't it? Statement. And I will say / prepared statement, isn't it? / prepared statement, because it's not only just simply the statement, but you use a prepared statement as well. Or else let me do this. I'll say statement, right? Then I'll put another object here. So let me reduce the size of this. Yes. And then you have prepared statement as well. Prepared statement. What else? What else do you use? So let me do away with this here, and I'll say this is my Java program. Right, this is your Java application or a Java program. Right, this is how it is. Okay, so I'll just bring this here again here, connection object, statement object. You have a prepared state. Can you tell me what other object we are using? We have used it, right? Without that, we will not be able to get the data from the result set, isn't it? Result set is the object. Otherwise, how do we get the data? Right? Correct. The result set. Okay. Okay. Fine. Not bad. Then we also have, as I said, result set. And then you loop through the result set and you get the data from the database. So this is what you do. All of these are the most critical ones, right? And with the prepared statement, you know that you can very well pass queries as well, isn't it? You can pass queries with the prepared statement. What is the peculiarity of a prepared statement? Tell me, what is the peculiarity of a prepared statement? With prepared statement, you will be able to have a pre-compiled, isn't it? Yeah, pre-compiled. Yes. Compiled statements being sent to the database. So you have pre-compiled. This is pre-compiled statements to the database, and parameterized. So you can pre-compile it. It is pre-compiled, not that you can. It is automatically pre-compiled if you are using a prepared statement, and at the same point of time, we have you can have parameters as well, right? So what is more important? Parameters is the big deal. Let me just make it prepared, pre-compiled. Okay, pre-compiled statements. These will be faster. Okay, that's how it is. So this is what we have done, and all of this is the part of your JDBC API. Correct. Now, what is advisable as? What is advisable is that instead of just getting the data loose and keeping it in some variables, we must get this data and put it into some objects. Right, see, we use these APIs and we create a layer of objects. So those objects are known as model classes. I repeat, those objects are known as model classes. Once again, those objects are known as used to execute parameterized queries as per there. So model classes, what are model classes? These model classes are real world entities. Don't miss this, friends. Don't miss this, please. It's a real world, they are all real world entities. What do you mean by real world entities? If you go to a bank, whether you have a software in that bank or you do not have a software in the bank, there is definitely an account, there is definitely a customer. One customer can have many accounts. Account will have attributes, am I right? Account will have behavior. You will have fixed deposit, you will have transactions executed every month, you will have withdrawal, and you will have deposit kind of transactions, maybe some other kind of overdraft kind of transactions. So there are objects in nature. Let's talk about your organization wherein they have got 2,82,000 employees. Just imagine the kind of payroll that they work with, the kind of human resources that they work with. Don't you think they would be having some state of the art payroll system? And in that payroll system, employee is a class. Now, whether they are managing their payroll with the help of a software or if they do not use a software, which is absolutely unlikely, but assume they are not using the software, then also there is a class. The class is called what? Employee. Employee is a class. It has got its attributes, it has got its functionality. So such classes which maps to real world business entities, such classes that are business classes, am I right? You're getting the point? Such classes that are what classes, friends? They are business classes. Such classes are known as what? Model classes. Actually, model is a short form of business model. So these classes are anyways there in business, whether you have a software in place or you do not have a software in place. I'd like to bring to your notice something very interesting, my dear friends. Very interesting. See this. I'm going to YouTube. Okay, so how many of you have watched Mother India? There was a very famous movie called Mother India. Sunil Dutt and Nargis, Mother India. Right, this movie, and in Mother India, okay, that's saying you have seen that movie. That's really nice. Mother India, Lala Ji, or else rather I'll say Sunil Dutt burning Lala Ji's books. Okay. Yeah, this is the scene. This is the scene, right? Now, this guy, so you would be wondering, why am I bringing this up? Why am I bringing this up? So, okay, let me check. I'll take you exactly to this, to that. Now, this is a very good. Now, see this. See this guy, what is he going to do? This Lalaji is the one who is a bank. This Lalaji is the bank of those days. Of course, cruel person, that's how he is shown. Banks are not cruel these days, right? They give you a loan only if you want it, and they do not. Well, whatever, you know about it. So, but this Lalaji used to, give loans to poor people in that village, and he used to exploit them. Blah blah blah. But then, at the time of giving the loan, don't you think he used to record something somewhere? Yes or no? He used to record. So each and every person that comes to him for a loan is his customer. Each time the person takes a loan, that is a transaction which he is supposed to write it down. So suppose a new customer, like for example, a new guy who has never ever taken a loan from him comes. So in a different register, he will create his name, he will write a new record, and he will open up a new page for that person. And then he will say, okay, Mr. So-and-so, or, Shri so-and-so, he has come for a loan. Now, his transactions start. There is another book for the transaction. And in that book, he used to write, okay, on so-and-so date, he has taken 500 rupees. Yes, 500. Those days, 500 was a big deal, like kind of 5 lakhs. So 500 rupees. Now the guy comes and he pays 100 rupees. So he's going to now create again another transaction. He has paid 100 rupees. At any given point of time, he will know that there is, at the end of the day, like, how much is the balance that that Lalaji is supposed to take from that guy. So 400 is the balance. Of course, he's going to give it on interest. So he is going to calculate the interest as well, and then accordingly calculate how much is the money that he's supposed to take back. Moreover, see, I'm all relating these things, huh? Okay. Moreover, he also has a concept wherein if the person has got in his business, he has set a rule. If at all a particular person, a farmer in the village, has got an outstanding of say 750 rupees, no more loan to him. He will stop giving him further loan. That is his business rule. I repeat, that is what his business rule is. And this guy, in order to complete this point, and this guy Sunil, that he comes and he burns all his books. So what is he burning? What is he burning? He's burning his books. Now, can you relate? See, he's burning his books. I don't know. That's gone. That's gone. Okay. Now see this. Here you go. See this. Can you see all of these things like lying down over it? And it's going to burn this. What is this? This is his database. This is his database. He is about to crash his database. And there is no backup. Right? There is no backup. He is about to burn his books. This book is his database. Each and every book is a different kind of register, which is nothing but the tables in the database. Everything that is written, like in each and every line in that register written, is nothing but one single row. Look on that. That's how it is. That's how it is. Right? And he's burning. So this Lalaji is gone. His bank is gone. Right? So that's how it is. So point here is, now, do you see computers here? Did you see software here? You do not, right? There is no software. There is no. But then still, though there is no software here, this is his business. So Lalaji, some 70 years back, was doing the business of kind of a mini bank in that village. His business had account. Come on, yes or no? His business had something like account. So your table in the database, you will also in your database you will have a table called account. Now note this, it's software world with you now. You have a database, you have a table, but even if but 70 years back, this guy did not have a database. Of course, this is not software, right? He does not have a software. So, but then still account was there, transaction was there, customer was there. Come on, yes or no? So these are real world business entities. These are the business entities. These are the model classes. When I say model, business model, a business domain, a business model. These are the classes that exist in business, whether you have a software or you do not have a software. Hope you're getting the point now. Okay. Coming back here. I hope any doubts over here. What is a business class? What is a business entity? Right? He's destroying his data right there. I hope you're getting the point. What is a business entity? A business entity is a class. Now, okay, I'll ask you something. Suppose if I create a class which is supposed to manage the user interface. I repeat, I am supposed creating a class which is supposed to manage the user interface. Is that a model class? Is that a business entity? That is also a class in my application. But is that a business entity? Do you think it is a business? No, it is not a business entity. If I write my helper classes, if I write my controller classes, if I write my business logic classes, those are not real world business entities. But when I create a class such that that class will anyways be there in business, whether there is a software running that business or there is no software running that business, even if the things are being done manually, that class does exist in business. Those classes are business entities. They are known as model classes. You may call them as business entities, domain classes, model classes, all one and the same thing. Right? So we must create model classes because when we are retrieving data from the database, it's about customer. So customer is a business entity. Right? So suppose we are writing this business application for a trading organization, or maybe for a bank, or maybe for some kind of a manufacturing company, maybe some kind of a services company. A customer is a real world business entity. So what we will do is that within the JDBC package itself, we are all learning, and hence we are JDBC and basics and assignment and all. But otherwise, in your real life, you will create very systematic packages. So here within JDBC, I am creating a package called model. sorry, I'll say package, and the name of the package is within JDBC, I'll say model. So I have a model package. Now within this model package, friends, I will create a class called customer. You got that? I'm going to create a class called customer, and here in the customer class, see, I do have customer classes in other places as well, but forget about that. Private int ID, I'll say private string name, okay, and then I will say private string, I'll say address. Correct? This is what I'm going to do, and I use command 1, and I say generate setter getter. I say generate okay, okay, I'll say generate setter getter methods for, or else, you know, do I have an option here, show context? Okay, no problem, sure. Okay, so I'll say generate setter getter for name, generate setter getter for address. Okay, now it understands that I need for everything, and then you see customer ID. Okay, no, I did not want this. Setter getter address, okay, and then ID also for ID. Correct. So I have, you know, for name, address, and ID for everything, I do have you know, set address and get address stuff, and get ID and set ID. I better put get, it doesn't make any difference, but I like to do it this way. You know, let me put get ID and set ID right at the top. You got this, friends, right? Get address, set address, and so on. So now here, so I have a class called customer. See what I'm doing now. In this prepared statement demo by name, I will create an array list. See this, I will create an array list. When will I create an array list? When I know, okay, I'll say list of, first of all, when I say list of, come on, tell me what, customer, I'm going to pick up customer from jdbc.model package, okay, and then I say customers is equal to new array list, okay, like that. When I do this, and if at all the customer is found, so instead of putting the data here like this, I won't do this. I'll say customers dot add, and add a new customer object. So I'll say customer is equal to new customer, and then customer dot set ID. What is it? I'll say, will I hardcode the values, or I'm going to take the values from the database? So you see rs.getString name, rs.getString address, and so on. So what I'm going to do here, I'll say I'll say customer dot, I'll say set ID, correct, set ID, and set ID by what, rs.getInt, and in brackets what, ID. Take a look, tell me if you've got any doubts in this. Any doubts? Any doubts in this? Pretty simple. Similarly, I will say set string, I'll say set string, set name, and here also I'll say set address, and here instead of rs.get int, I'll say what, get string, and what must be the name of the column, name. Here I'll say get string, and here what must be the name of the column, address. Come on, simple enough, right? Isn't it? I'm taking the value from the result set and putting it into the state. I'm populating the state of an object, and then what I'm going to do, I am going to add it to the list. I'll say customers dot add, and in brackets I'm going to write customer. Simple enough. So very simple. I'm going to copy paste this entire code as it is, and I'm going to put it here as well. See this. Now, since, as I said earlier also, you know, since you already have you know, an object created with that name, you cannot. Okay, so this is customer 0, this is, so here I am added customer 0, here I am adding the customer object. If at all there are more rows, take a look. And then once this is done, I've got clean code now, I've got clean API now. This is the code which is specific to the database. I am talking to the database, getting the data. Now all the business logic that I need to execute, all the validations that I need to perform, all the other business rules that I want to execute on the data that I have retrieved from the database, I will be executing them on what? On customers array list, customers list. Correct. So if I want to just print it now, I'm not executing any business logic or anything. So I'll say customers dot, I will say for each. Remember this, friends, for each. And what is it that I need to pass as a parameter? A consumer. a consumer. See how, and what, see the way we are progressing and we are making, progress. I'll go to customer. Do you remember two string method, friends? Please confirm. Do you remember the two string method? Right. So I'll say two string, and this ID is superb. I just hit the enter key. It says, do you want to include all of these fields in two string? I'll say okay, and it writes everything for me here. So I don't even have to, manually write it. This IDE helps me out. So what I'm going to do, I'll just simply say for each, I'll write system dot. Do you remember println? Do you remember this? Sorry, system dot out colon println. You remember this method reference? Method reference. Yes, method reference. Now this is what I'm doing now. So let's run this code and see the results. I'm going to get the same results. It's just that I am not printing the values. You see this customer ID, Pune. I change back to Mumbai. I'm going to get two objects. I'm going to get two objects in the array list. See this? You see this one object in the array list and the second object in the array list. What have we learned? What have we learned? We have learned that after taking the data from the database, once we have taken the data from the database, we can very well, create those, populate the state of an object. I can create a list, and in the list, I can create classes. So say for example, customer. Class. I will just drag and drop that here. Okay. So I have a class. Which class did I create? I created a customer class. And then after populating the state of that object, so this is what kind of classes are these? Come on, tell me, what kind of classes are these? These are, come on, what classes? This is the class in the model layer. These are model classes, right friends? These are model classes. So I have used in this example, I have used just one single class, but in real life there can be n number of model classes, customer, product, and supplier, and it depends on your business application, what kind of application you are developing. You will have all of these classes, n number of customer classes, n number of model classes will be created. So I'll say model n number of model classes can be created. Like this. You got that, friends? Right? I hope this is pretty simple enough. Right? I have created one class, but then can be n number of model classes. You talk to the database and you populate the state of those model classes, and then you execute the business logic. Any doubts? Any questions? Any doubts? Any questions? Let me know if you have any doubts. Any questions? Okay, so the last part here is that you create model classes, right? That's what you do. You create model classes and populate the state of those model classes. Instead of you working with loose variables, you take the data from the database, create the objects of classes, and populate the state of the object of this class, put it into an array list if you know that there's going to be more than one object, and if it is, suppose you are retrieving by primary key, then in that case there will be one single object, and you populate the state of that object and then keep it in your memory, and then you can execute all your business logic on that. So here I do not have any business logic, and hence I'm just simply printing it. So the point here is that any given application, you will have n number of model classes created. You will keep on retrieving data from the database. So you will keep on retrieving the data from the database, and you will keep on creating n number of model classes. Now model n, what I'm only trying to say is that I've got customer, I may have product, I may have invoice, I may have sales order, I may have this, and I may have that. There can be hundreds of model classes, and so I'm saying model n, there can be n number of model classes. Correct? In real life situation, isn't it? Right? You got that? Okay, so now I want you to exactly write the code that I have written. So you're going to start from this. You're going to create a package called model. Within that you will create a customer class, and then you will populate the state of the customer. You see this, you've got an array list here, and then I'm not going to show you everything, come on, but anyways, you can see everything here. See, come on, get started.